In the war zone, you have a whole bunch of people who in occupied countries, such as France in the Second World War, became resistance fighters to the German people. But then a whole bunch of people seemed to go along with the German occupation and maintain their businesses and run their bakeries and feed the populace, including the German army. Now, after the war ends, the resistance fighters are hailed as great people. The collaborators are shunned. So society doesn't, this is just ways people survive. From a trauma perspective, there's no judgment here. You survived that way, good on you. You survived this way, good on you. You survived. I'm not going to judge you for surviving. So Stockholm Syndrome's a bit like that. We're not judging people. We understand the attachment system. The attachment makes you feel safe. And, settles you down. So this is Patty Hearst quoting, they call it Stockholm Syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I had no free will. I had virtually no free will until I was separated from them for about 2 weeks. So it's a brainwashing, coercive, entrapping, mind-controlling process. Peter Fonagy, we want to touch on Peter Fonagy. We're about halfway through, guys. We're at 1 o'clock now. We're due to go through till 2. I will pause shortly and questions and comments. Peter Fonagy is interesting because he also gives us a developmental understanding of things. So we have the developmental understanding of all things attachment, including attachment to the perpetrator. Where when I attach to the perpetrator, it means I can survive. So attachment equals survival. I can't pack my bags and run away. I can't fight mum or dad. I've got to attach as a young child. So Fonagy's in this attachment lineage of people. Bowlby, Ainsworth, Mary Main in the US, Peter Fonagy, the Tavistock Clinic, all things in the UK like this. And Fonagy's saying, well, I've got 3 global stages of the development of mind. So what are these 3 global stages of mind? The first stage he calls symbiosis, well that's what it used to be called. He calls it psychic equivalence. That the tiny little baby who's just been born, for the first weeks, the first month, the first 6 months, the first 9 months, the first 12 months, mostly right hemisphere to right hemisphere of the caregiver. Whatever's happening out there is happening in here. Psychic equivalence. The inner equals the outer equals the inner. So if it's a really healthy family, great. This child's getting good stuff. If it's not so good out there, it's going straight in unfiltered. There's no language yet. There's no comprehension yet. There's no left brain development yet. Whatever's happening out there is happening in here. Psychic equivalence. As we get a little bit older, 18 months, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, left hemisphere, language, comprehension, making mama, dada, puppy dog, identifying things, dinner time, bath time, bedtime. Oh, I don't want to go to bed. And Fonagy calls this stage of development, this left hemisphere stage of languaging and identifying and speaking and so on, pretend, because now we are starting to get a mental imagery and be able to speak and have imagination and to know things in advance and what things mean. So there's a mental life starting up here, and what do the children mostly do with this stuff is they play. They pretend, they have fantasy, they enact, they have imaginary friends, they have tea parties, all the dinosaurs come to life, all the dolls get dressed up and have beauty pageants. Whatever the kids are doing, it's all Toy Story 1, 2 and 3, the Disney Toy Story. Wonderful, elaborate, creative pretend. all things being well, by the time we're late childhood, early teens, mid-teens, late teens, we're developing another capacity. And this third capacity he coined as mentalizing. And a mentalizing capacity means that I know that my mother and my father, even though we're tight, that I have a mind of my own. My mind is not my dad's mind. Mum's mind is not my mind. I have a mind of my own. Okay? So the person who's mentalizing realizes you all have a mind of your own. We share some things in common, but I can't read your mind. You can know things about me, but you can't. So there's a sense of empathizing, understanding, connecting, but not quite psychic equivalence. Everybody has a mind and a personality and temperaments and differences. Even identical siblings. And then a mentalizing person a little bit further down the track understands that my thoughts are just thoughts. My hopes are just hopes. My dreams are just dreams. My wishes are just wishes. My thoughts, hopes, dreams and wishes are thoughts, hopes, dreams and wishes. They're not necessarily real. They do have a reality, but they're not necessarily literal. So my paranoid schizophrenic client, this is about 15 years ago, working along with him, and we do about 20 minutes of counselling, and then he says to me, out of the blue, without warning, he says, "Philip," I say, "What?" He says, "Is the room bugged?" I say, "I don't know, let's have a look." So I get him up out of the chair, and we're looking around for a listening device. You know, has ASIO or the CIA or the KGB been in the room overnight? I don't know. Let's have a look. And after looking around the room for a little bug for a few minutes, he says, "Oh, Philip." I say, "What?" He said, No, it's just my mind." Now he's mentalizing. It's just, he had a thought and he took it as absolute and literal. That's called psychosis, people. A mentalizing person, that's just my thought. That's not necessarily literal. And so we sit down for another 20 minutes and we get along like a house on fire again. And then out of the blue, without warning, about 20 minutes before we're ending the appointment, he says, "Philip." I say, "What?" He says, "There's someone hiding behind your chair." I say, "I don't know, come and have a look." And my chair's up against the wall, so I make a joke. I say, "Look, if there is, it'll be a skinny person, but come and have a look." And he comes over and he has a peek and he says, "Oh, no, it's just my mind." "Oh, okay, no worries, just your mind." No worries. So this is the process of mentalizing, trying to clarify, is it a mental thing or is it a real thing? And kids from stable families, so we're not talking trauma families, we're talking stable, supportive, secure families. Age 4, 5, 6, 7. "Hey Mum, hey Dad, is this real? Is that real?" You remember your kids saying this to you, tugging you on the shirt? "Hey Dad, is that real? Is this real?" Kids in healthy, stable families want feedback because this is not easy to figure out. What is literally real and what is pretend real? And this is a whole developmental piece for childhood development. Kids do this, and they do it well when the context is safe and feedback is safe. Okay? So all this is happening. Now kids in complex trauma families, they're going into this psychic equivalence, they're going into this pretend, but they don't get past pretend. So we're looking at complex trauma people, not so much even though they're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe not even yet mentalizing. Instead, they're living in their pretend. Donald Trump, I won that election. It's very clear I was robbed. It's very clear. He's living in his pretend. That's my way or the highway. That's a complex trauma survivor's mind. What I think is literally true, not what is. For those of us who are non-complex trauma survivors, there's different worlds that we live in. We know there's a pretend world. We know there's a reality-based world. Complex trauma survivors, no, there's just one world, and it's my way. And by the way, you owe me money, so give it to me. Plenty of stories there we could talk about, I'm sure. So people get wedded to their thoughts, wedded to their beliefs, wedded to their, and it's absolute and it's literal. Absolutely bonded to that. And they're not malingering in doing that. They're not, it's not a, this is a way people, this is an unfortunate outcome of complex trauma. This is not because people are bad, they have bad characters, no. It's got nothing to do with character, it's got nothing to do with good or bad. This is the trauma process, the trauma outcome. Because the other thing in childhood is that kids are not only absolute and literal in their development, they're also magical and egocentric. That's healthy, normal for all kids, whether you're coming from a stable family or a complex trauma family. Magical thinking and egocentrism. And egocentrism is, oh, Dad's gone to jail. I caused Dad to go to jail. A little boy in the family, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old. I had a bad thought about Dad, and that's why he went to jail. Or Mum's in hospital with migraines. She goes there every fortnight with migraines. The little girl's saying, I caused that. Egocentrism. The kids think that they make things happen. That's normal, that's natural. If it's all loving, fantastic. It's good. But if it's traumatic stuff, so really healthy families, when the parents fight, they turn to their kids and they say, this is not about you. Do not make this about you. This is not about you guys. Okay, Mum and Dad are having a fight. It's not about you. Don't make it about you. And the kids go, oh, okay, phew, thank God for that. So we're in treatments, we're trying to help people move beyond pretend and move beyond psychic equivalence. Our clients generally, even though they're teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they're not necessarily moved into mentalizing. So they're still in pretend. And we know that because the doctor's report has come back, okay? And the report says to the man who's drinking at the pub all day, every day, your liver's just about done. If you keep drinking, you will die. Okay, it's here in black and white. This is your liver scan report. You're going to die if you keep drinking. And the man leaves the doctor's office. Okay, doc, no worries. Goes out and sees his mates across the road at the pub. Goes in the pub and he tells them the story of, I was just at my doctor's place and he was telling me stuff, but he's an idiot. He said, my liver's shot, but my liver's fine. So people want to believe what they want to believe, what they want to believe, what they want to believe. And that's problematic because he's going to die. And a lot of people do die in exactly this scenario. So people can take pretending to the grave. That's not uncommon. And we can't go in and burst the balloon because reality is the thing that our clients have a struggle with. Remember, implicitly, trauma has been forgotten a long time ago. A lot of people don't know their childhood, they've forgotten about their childhood, and they live in the world of today, in their pretend in the world of today, which helps them navigate the world of today. The pretend also helps numb and avoid and disconnect from stuff. I've lost my train of thought for a second.
Too busy pretending.
Yeah, too busy getting caught up in the different ideas of pretend. It will come back to me. I'll come back to that thought. Let me jump on the next slide. Oh, we covered this piece. Literalisms, absolutisms, magical thinking, egocentrism. Stephen Porges, polyvagal theory. Nervous system is set up in a way that's not balancing. The doctors in the hospital say that the sympathetic adrenal system balances over time with the parasympathetic rest system. So a lot of output, you get tired, you have a sleep. You get enough sleep, you get energy to go back into activity. So activity and rest, activity and rest. Sympathetic adrenal, parasympathetic calm sleep. And that this system is a balanced system. Stephen Porges came along in the mid-90s and said, no, that's not correct. But the system is in relation to the environment. All things being well, we're in a good socially connected, calm state. He calls it a ventral vagal system, social connection, social engagement system. That's because the environment around us is safe. People are safe, the place is safe, there's no bombs going off, there's no strange people screaming and yelling, we're calm, we're relaxed. So we're in a calm, respective nervous systems, yeah? Say some danger comes into the picture, so the environment changes. It could be internal threat or external threat, and this calm nervous system starts to go away and the adrenal system takes over. Fight or flight. Okay? If the danger is really overwhelming, I can't do anything with it and it's life-threatening, freeze. Or if I'm a young child who can't pack my bags and get away, I've got to stay stuck, frozen, freeze. So there we have fight, flight, freeze, but on top of that, sociability, social engagement. That's what Porges gave us so clearly in the polyvagal theory. Okay? Porges' work. Social engagement in the context of safety, fight or flight in the context of danger, and freeze in the context of overwhelm or attachment to the perpetrator. Okay? Moving on, we're going to get very shortly back to Porges. I just want to take us through Genet for a second. Genet was one of the trauma theorists back in the day who had some ideas about how to treat people. And he had this phases of treatment or stages of treatment. And the first stage should be a stage of making sure this person is safe. And basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basic needs being met. Food, clothing, shelter, warmth, so on and so on. Effective triage, effective crisis intervention, safety, stabilization, basic needs being met. That may be 6 months, 12 months in the making or longer. Some people take a long time just to get to a degree of safety. And then you can do some trauma memory work, back in the day, what happened, so on and so on. And then his framework